Okay, Puneet Chhatwal of Indian Hotels joins us now. Puneet, I hope everything at your end is safe. I keep on hearing heartwarming stories of how the staff at Indian Hotels is going out of the way, working round the clock to, take care of the guests which currently are there. So, I really want to compliment you about the way Indian Hotels and the staff members are going about managing this crisis.
Thank you, Nikunj. I think time and again over the last several decades, it has been proven that our people stand out for what we call Tajness that they exude, and also inculcating all the Tata values. I think that makes us all very proud. And the founder had the philosophy of the society being the most important stakeholder. And all the Tata Group companies continue to live on it. And Indian Hotels, being a customer-facing industry, is definitely very focused on not only maintaining the safety for its guests, but also serving the community in any way it can.
I will get into the business part with you, Puneet, little later. But give us an on-ground update as to what's happening at various hotels. Are hotels open for business? Can anyone walk in? Or some hotels have been currently used by various state governments for quarantine purposes?
I think, Nikunj, a bit of all of the above. So some hotels are open. So more than 60% of our portfolio is still operational, albeit at very low levels. The business is limited to in-house guests. We are doing the security checks in terms of measuring the temperature, etc., and taking all measures that are needed. Secondly, what you just now said, we have offered a lot of our hotels, especially under the Ginger brand, for quarantine purposes, including in Mumbai and in Bhubaneswar, as an example. And finally, what we have seen is a complete slowdown since the lockdown. I think the business has come to a standstill. So when we talk about that later, so some of that is a conscious decision in certain smaller cities where we have more than one property, or in smaller metros, to slowly close a few hotels and use one or the other property more efficiently and leverage that more instead of having low occupancy spread across different properties.
Okay. When the lockdown was announced, did you realize that some of your hotel rooms were occupied by guests? Some of them could be expats, some of them could be visitors who currently have no option but to stay there. How are you managing this crunch?
Well, there is not much that one can manage. If the guests are in there, we are serving them, and they were expats, so they were other guests, they were doctors. There was in a certain place even armed forces personnel staying in the hotel. So we are there to serve our customers, and that's what we did. The only thing is, with no trains, with no cars, with no planes flying, there are not many check-ins that come in every day. So there are not many new people coming in, but those who are there and who want to stay on, they are being served as under a normal operation.
Puneet, hi, morning. Aisha as well joining into the conversation. But tell me, how is it that you're dealing with the lockdown? Because besides your corporate office, your employees can't really work from home.
That's true. I think we have not yet reached that stage of virtual service of the customers. So we are, under those some of the essential services. So we are dealing with that. There are certain other examples where the hotel is even full. We very much in South Mumbai, we have an extended stay with a residence called Taj Wellington Mews, and that's always occupied 95%. So the staff coming in there is also almost 90% in strength. And we have been very blessed to have a lot of help from the local government and the police and others to get the security passes so that in certain places business can go on as if there was also no lockdown. Of course, we are maintaining all the security measures, as I said before, not only checking the guests, but including with the staff maintaining social distancing, masks, gloves, regular fumigation so that all the pathogens are killed. So all this as a part of a daily process and maybe even repeated several times during the day is going on. And as I said, there are certain places which are still as busy as before, and there are others which are as empty as they've never been seen, at least in the recent past.
Not for the properties which are full right now, but are there mass cancellations, for instance, which are happening, pre-bookings that were made for maybe, spring or summer breaks? Are those getting cancelled out? And more importantly, do you really think that, industries such as yours will really have to bear the brunt? Because, even personally speaking, I don't know how soon can one really get that confidence to travel out, because the travel in the aviation industry, for instance, is the first port of call which is going to get impacted with a global pandemic like this.
You're right, Aisha. It's not going to get impacted. It is already impacted. So if we look at March, there are 3 parts of the month of March. One is till the 11th of March, till the announcement came as a global pandemic. The visas were cancelled for a lot of European countries traveling into India. And there was accelerated news on various corona cases all over the world. And then came the ban on OCI card holders also coming in. So there is a period of 1st to 11th of March, which was almost as good as last year, almost very close to the festival of Holi. Then there comes a period of 12th to 23rd of March, where the occupancy started dropping rapidly. So I would say 1st to 11th of March with hotels, most of the properties were operating definitely north of 60, 65, even 70% occupancy. And the 12th to 23rd came down to 40% or so. And since 24th and going on, as we can see, till 15th of April, definitely it is either low single digits or 10, 15% in most of the properties. So there is definitely a complete slowdown or a complete stop. The industry has never witnessed this kind of situation before. However, I do believe as tourism and hospitality provides for 10% of the global GDP, it provides for more than 10% of all the jobs generated globally, including in India. We're at 9% of the contribution to GDP and almost 8.5% to the total number of jobs, that there will be certain policy decisions that will come in due course, which will help to, kind of refuel this industry. And as it is very important for people to travel, for not just for business, but for getting to know things, for leisure, for developing tolerance, for developing better understanding. And I don't think that this is going to stop forever. So, but as most of the governments have announced, and I think we will also get there and we are having those discussions, but obviously the governments first have to make sure that there is enough medical supplies. It's number one priority. The number two priority is that there is enough food available for people, and then comes the economics part of it. And I think we will get into that phase, and hopefully the industry will get the attention it deserves, because it's for the good of the whole. And the whole, I mean, for the globe as well as for India.
Right. Hi, Puneet. Yes, indeed, medical will be and should be the first priority. But just to give us a sense as to what your outlook is in terms of the overall pricing and room rates. As you said, this too shall pass. And when we do see things sort of, returning to normalcy, do you think that we could see some alteration in your overall pricing?
Not really. I think that I hope the industry wakes up to that reality. There is a demand and a supply imbalance at the moment, and by reducing the price, you're not going to get more feet and sheets or heads in beds, as they call it. I think we have to maintain the pricing because pricing levels, if damaged, are very difficult to staircase to climb back upon. So, in my other role as the president of the Hotel Association of India, together with our ex-com, we are lobbying the hoteliers not to get into that kind of a game because that's a very short-term gain which will have a very bad long-term impact. So I don't think the pricing over medium and long term will be impacted. Short term, maybe yes, the next couple of months. And when it comes to Indian hotels, I think I was on your channel when we announced our third quarter results. I thought we did announce some good numbers, and I think Jan and Feb were also quite good till, as I said, till the 15th of February, the world was in order. Then it started slowing down a bit. And the acceleration really started as of 11th of March. So I think the next year we have to count it. Like this year we had 1 or 2 bad months. I think next year also we'll have a couple of bad months in the next financial year. And the management needs to stay focused and the industry needs to stay focused to get the job done in a shorter period of time.
Okay, Puneet, now let's address the investor concerns here. The first reaction is, okay, bad news for tourism, bad news for hotel, the stocks have come down. But do you think one now needs to step back and understand the numbers carefully? Because you have fixed cost and you have variable cost. Fixed cost will not come down, but variable cost will come down. You have hotels which are managed by Indian hotels, which are owned and managed by Indian hotels, and there are some hotels which are where you have a revenue sharing impact. So there the impact will not be large. So for an investor, somebody who wants to understand that, okay, should I buy the Indian hotel stocks or should I panic? How does one understand this kind of a scenario? Normal scenario, we have all assumptions, but in this scenario, we want to hear it from you.
Yeah, I think Nikunj, you answered it yourself. I think in a normal scenario, you have fixed and variable cost. In a scenario which you can call force majeure or act of God, even the fixed cost can become variable cost. It all depends on the kind of changes and announcements that will come. To give you an example, if you have some relaxation on paying of some utility costs, like we have had the announcement on the deferment of payment of EMIs, etc., they help you create cash flows. Similarly, some of the governments elsewhere in the world have announced some kind of subsidies for keeping employment levels so that the people are employed and are not laid off. So suddenly your labor costs also become semi-variable cost. So I think it's a bit premature today. I think within a week from now, we will enter into those kind of decisions or into those kind of discussions, and we'll have a better insight into where our industry is headed and what kind of stimulus will be needed, not just in the hotel industry, but overall to secure employment. I think that's the key. We can only give food in this phase for 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, but at certain point, the taxes have to come in, people have to have employment, and I think a lot of jobs in all sectors, especially in tourism, are at risk. And I am very confident, very optimistic that we'll have a solution in the next 1 or 2 or 3 weeks at the latest. And then the industry also has to do some things on its own. So I think every industry has an opportunity also what we can learn from this crisis and how we can improve and do things better going forward. So I am not, like gang-ho or something, but I'm cautiously optimistic that yes, we will also have a solution both domestic as well as definitely globally through the World Travel and Tourism Council, through our Hotel Association of India, through our head body, which is called FAITH for all the travel and hotel associations, through engagement with the government, through improvement in our own businesses, making them, smarter going forward. And that is what is our role, and that is what we will try and achieve.
And I really hope that it becomes sooner than later. So closing comments, Puneet, with each crisis an opportunity comes, with each crisis it's survival of the fittest. At a global level, I think because of social distancing, a concept of Airbnb could get challenged. Some of the weak hotel chains which currently are just, trying to run hotels even though they are making losses, those business models will be questioned. So are we in for a normalization of the industry, and what the reckless practices were being followed, all the innovation, stay at home concepts which were being followed, will they get damaged completely?
I would not say damaged, but I think definitely after every crisis, there is a change in the social behavior of people. So I think a bit of social distancing will become a part and parcel of our life. Does not matter which country in the world. One would not be, getting too close to people because of this inherent fear that has been caused, or the learnings that have been made through this crisis. So I think that's definitely, we can expect a change in social behavior, change in the travel patterns, including traveling, when there is a complete lockdown and people are not traveling and the business goes on, like we are doing. We are on the television having interviews. You don't have to actually always travel to do business, right? So I think some of those changes will come, but I think with that will also come new opportunities, and definitely the correction in terms of only going for valuations without having a solid business model backed by assets which needed a correction will also happen, I think. Or it's either already happening or will happen to a much larger extent than we have seen now.
Makes sense. Puneet, thank you so much for taking the time out and joining in today and speaking with us that candidly. Good to have you on the show as always. Thanks so much.